مد الواجب المتصل. And we did المد الجائز المنفصل. مد المنفصل we did. All right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. So continuing on with the mudud. So far we covered various kinds of mud. Covered al-mad al-tabi'i, natural mud. That's part of a letter. A, I, U. Mad al-badal, which is a lengthening of a hamza. So it's a type of mad tabi'i. Mad al-iwad, that is when a word is in the condition of mansub, like a with the tanween. But instead of reading the tanween, it just becomes alima, ahada, ma. So that is a mad al-iwad. And then we left off with al-mad al-jaiz al-munfasil. Mad al-munfasil is what you guys normally call it. Bima unzila. And we talked about the maqadir, the durations of them. So mad al-munfasil, 4 to 5 harakas, which means around 2 seconds. And this is in riwayat Hafs. You don't make it long. As for the other mudud that we talked about, they're just 1 extra. Or I should say 2 harakas long, which means 1 second long. Alima shouldn't be longer than that. Now the next mad that we're going to talk about is al-mad al-wajib al-muttasil. So mad al-muttasil, but the full name is al-mad al-wajib al-muttasil. So you guys know what wajib means? Mandatory, right? So it is a mandatory mad. And this is in contrast to the one that we talked about before, which was al-mad al-jaiz al-munfasil. So this is the opposite, al-mad al-wajib al-muttasil. Now why is it called wajib? Because he says that you must lengthen it for all of the qura. All of the qura, all of the variations of recitation, lengthen this type of mad. The other one, al-madul jaiz al-munfasil, not everybody lengthens. Some people just lengthen a little bit. So that's why it's called wajib. Muttasil means connected. So this is translated as the joined compulsory mad. Or you can call it mandatory, required. They actually translate it here as required. The joined, required mad. So why is it called joined? He has 3 examples here. It's because it's part of a word itself. And this falls in the category of the mads that are due to a hamza. Okay, so example for all 3 letters of mad. وَجَاءَكُمُ النَّذِيرُ. So for, وَجَاءَكُمُ النَّذِيرُ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ سِيءَ بِهِمْ. So notice the hamza is part of the word. In the previous one, al-madul jaiz al-munfasil, the hamza was part of the next word. So we said there's 2 words. Here this is 1 word. Ja'akum, the is part of the ja. Su al-adab, the is part of the su. Si abihim, that hamza is part of it. Right? It's 1 word. The word is si or su or ja'a. So when the hamza is part of the word, then that becomes mad muttasil, connected mad, and it's wajib, just because all of the qurra they lengthen here. So no one does qasr. Everyone does tawassut or tul. Those terms that I told you guys: qasr, 2 harakas; tawassut, 4 or 5; and tul, 6. Some do the tul here, not hafs, but hafs he does tawassut or fuwaiqut tawassut, 4 or 5, which means around 2 seconds. وَجَاءَكُمُ النَّذِيرُ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ سِيءَ بِهِمْ. You don't want to hold too long. If you hold too long, it becomes tul. For instance, tul would be وَجَاءَكُمُ النَّذِيرُ. So that is too long for hafs. It would be incorrect. The mad would be too long. So 4 or 5 harakas, meaning 2 to 2.5 seconds. So if you look from the previous one that we did, mad munfasil and this mad muttasil, both of the durations of hafs is 4 to 5. So it's easy for hafs. They're both mad muttasil and mad munfasil are the same duration. If you do for one of them, you do 4, then you should do 4 for the other one. Like if you do 4 harakas, 2 seconds for mad munfasil, you should do the same 2 seconds for mad muttasil. If you do 2.5 for mad munfasil, do 2.5 for mad muttasil. Right? So keep it constant. Don't do for one word, I decide I'm going to do this 2 seconds. This other word, I'm going to do 2.5 seconds. It has to be constant. So in your recitation, when you choose one, you stick with it for that duration. Now tomorrow, or you finish this recitation, you start another recitation later. In that recitation, you want to do 5, that's fine. You can do that. Once you choose for that sitting, you should retain that amount. Okay. And then he goes into signs of this. We're not going to go into that. Like the big old squiggly lines on top, what does it mean? Next we have maddu sila. So this was number 5. Number 6. Maddu sila. Maddu sila is where you have a pronoun which is ha. In Arabic, their pronouns is huwa, but if it's attached to a word, it's like hu, like innahu. That hu is a pronoun in Arabic. So when that hu is stretched, and it also works for the ha, or he, as the examples will display. Ha is already lengthened, so not ha, but hu. When you strengthen the lengthen the hu. So when does that occur? It says here, when there's a haraka before and after it. So I'll give you some examples. Let me read what he has written here. It is to join the pronoun ha, which represents the masculine third person singular. That's part of grammar, you don't need to know it. If you have a hu or a he, to join it to a waw if the ha is with a dhamma, and to join it with a ya if the ha is with a kasra, providing that it occurs between 2 voweled letters. So what is this? For instance, example, innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. Innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. I'll write that on the board. It's easy to understand with the example. So Let me write the harakas. That'll be easier to see. Okay. So what we're looking at here is two has. These are pronouns. This one here and this one here. Innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. It's not innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. But that's how you would actually read it. Innahu ala. Right? Like if you didn't have any signal to lengthen this, innahu ala. Because this is a dhamma. Why would it be stretched normally? But the rule is that you will stretch it. And this is a pronoun. This is masculine, third person, pronoun. Now, you don't need to know all that if you don't know grammar. It's just in the Quran, they have a symbol. They'll have like a little wow here. Or here, they'll have like a little ya. Let's see how it's written here. Yeah. This is supposed to be a ya here. Yeah. That's how it looks. You'll have these symbols. So why is this pulled here? This is a mud. Because what you're actually doing is this. You're reading it like this. Innahu. Innahu ala. It's like that. Innahu ala. And then raj'ihi. Raj'ihi laqadir. Raj'ihi laqadir. It's an extra pull. So this becomes two harakas instead of one. One haraka would sound like innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. But it's double that. Innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. So why does that occur? Simple. If you have this pronoun before and after it, there's a haraka, that's when you'll do it. So here's a pronoun, the hu. Before it is a haraka, a na. After it is a haraka, a. So this dhamma will be strengthened. It will be stretched. Here it's a kasra. So the kasra will be stretched. You have a kasra here on the ayn, fatha on the lam. So before and after is a haraka. So the he is going to be lengthened. So that's basically it. So more examples. ماله وما كسب وأمه وأبيه. It's lengthened a little bit. Now he breaks into two categories, as-silatu sughra and as-silatu kubra. Minor, these are called sila. Sila means connecting, the mud of connection. So this connects to the next one. So who, he, so it's the mud of connection. There's two kinds, sila sughra and sila kubra. Sila sughra are like the ones that we just discussed. And sila kubra is where after the dhamir, the pronoun, you have a hamza qat'i. Examples of that. So these you can just write them as an example of sila sughra. For this one, this has both who and he. So let's say this is an example for this. As for as-silatul kubra, example will be ma lahu akhlada. And then you also have ila ta'amihi anna. So this fits the definition of sila. You have the you have the pronoun who, and here he is a pronoun. Before is a haraka, after is a haraka. So that fits sila. But here, this is a hamza qat'i. It's a hamza. Just say it's a hamza coming up in another word, and it is this is going to cause a mud to occur. Right. This is essentially it's mud munfasil, but he's being very technical, and he says it fits the definition of sila. So we call this sila kubra, where it becomes a lengthened mud. It actually falls in the same category as mad munfasil, because it is a mad munfasil. Two separate words. The second word has a hamza coming in it. So how long would these be pulled? These two? 4 or 5 harakas. Right? So it won't be just 2 harakas. Sila sughra is 2 harakas. So you can't pull this too long. You can't be like innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. So it's only 2 harakas there. These, however, 4 harakas or 5, because it's sila kubra, which is another form of mad munfasil. All right. Now, he gives some istithna'at, meaning exceptions to this, which is good for us. Let me erase all this, and then you'll see why these are the exceptions. They're not exceptions, actually. It's just showing you when sila is not going to occur. All right, so let's see here. Right? لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. So is there a lengthening here? So why wouldn't there be lengthening here? You have the pronoun. Why isn't it فيه هدى للمتقين? So it fails to fulfill the condition. There's no haraka on the ya. Thus, this does not count as a maddu salah. There's a sakin here. There's a haraka here. So if this had a haraka, then this would be maddu salah, but there's no haraka there. So that is why that's not going to be. And another one. يعلمه الله. يعلمه الله. So there's no sila there. Same reason. Because the letter preceding the hu doesn't have a haraka. It's a sakin. يعلمه الله. So there's no maddu sila. Another example, اسمه المسيح. اسمه المسيح. So the hu, before it, there is a haraka, there's a dhamma, اسمه المسيح. But coming after it, the lam is a sakin. So there's not going to be maddu sila. It needs to have harakas before and after it. Okay. Now, the ha itself has to have a haraka. So in example, أرجه وأخاه. أرجه وأخاه. أرجه وأخاه. So in this example, there is a haraka before and after the ha dhamir, the pronoun ha, but the pronoun itself, right, it's sakin. The pronoun is sakin. فَأَلْقِهْ إِلَيْهِمْ. Another example, the pronoun itself is sakin. So the pronoun has to have a haraka too. So if the pronoun doesn't have a haraka, or before or after it there's no haraka, then there will not be maddu sila. You need to have 3 consecutive harakas. Before the pronoun itself, and then the one after it has to all have harakas, then you'll do the maddu sila. So that's the ruling there. There is a place, actually he gives two places where there's a istithna, meaning the ruling doesn't work in riwayat Hafs. The first one, Surah Al-Furqan, verse 69. Does anyone know what it is? Except for the one who has a book. Anyone know? Where you were supposed to do a maddu sila, but you don't? Or rather, where you weren't supposed to do maddu sila, but you do. That's what this is. Right? So here, in Surah Al-Furqan, وَيَخْلُدَ فِيهِ مُهَانًا. In the وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ section, the last page of Surah Al-Furqan, is وَيَخْلُدَ فِيهِ مُهَانًا. This is verse 69 of Furqan. So now, فِيهِ مُهَانًا. So according to the principle, it should be فِيهِ مُهَانًا وَيَخْلُدَ فِيهِ مُهَانًا. But instead it's فِيهِ مُهَانًا. You have to do it with the sila in the riwayat Hafs. But it doesn't follow the principle. It's just an exception. There's a sakin before the ha, still, you lengthen it. So if you guys check, I think you're checking, right? Are you on Surah Al-Furqan?
I can be.
Okay, so you can be on it. So if you check it, you'll see there's a little ya right here, like a little ya there. You're supposed to pull it. Surah Al-Furqan, verse 69. And so that's an example of where it shouldn't be, but it is. And this displays to you that we are compelled to read as we receive through the chain. We don't have a reason for it. Like, why? I don't know. It's just the way it was revealed, and we have preserved it that way. That's the reason. So it's according to the sanad. Another example where it should occur, but it doesn't. So the opposite of this. It should occur, but it's not occurring. This is it shouldn't occur, but it has. And that is Surah Al-Zumar, verse 7. Almost one of your names. Yarallahu lakum. Lakum? Yeah. You have to excuse me. I haven't done Taraweeh last year. Yarallahu lakum. Right? So here, if you look at it, there is a haraka before the ha and a haraka after it. So it should be yarallahu lakum, but it's not. So this is an exception to the rule. Surah Al-Zumar, verse number 7. So these are the two exceptions. One where it shouldn't occur and it does, one where it should occur and it doesn't. Did someone say that, or was that like sound like an AI or something? That was you? Oh, you the laptop? You scanned the code, the QR code. What is it?
No, he's just on like the Quran. Yeah.
Oh, it sounded like a person, but it sounded like a robot too. I was like, what was that? You know, the people have that cigarette problem. They put the mic there. It sounded like that. Okay. Now this can also happen on hadhihi. So this was the masculine pronoun, but it can also, there is also a stretch on the word hadhihi. So for instance, hadhihi bida'atuna. So it also works on hadhihi. Hadhihi bida'atuna. Right? So it's not hadhihi bida'atuna. There is a haraka before and after hadhihi bida'atuna. Hadhihi, so it actually is read like this. Hadhihi بضاعتنا. So two harakas instead of one. Other examples, مد صلة كبرى هذه أمتكم, because there's a hamza qat'i coming after it. So same rules apply with هذه. Okay. He goes into something called ha'us sakt. Ha'us sakt looks like a pronoun, but it's not. It looks like a pronoun, but it isn't. Ha'us sakt is a ha that Arabs put at the end of the word to show you the haraka of the previous letter. I'll give you an example. Lam yatasanna. 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 Or in Surah Al-Haqqa, there's many. Maliya, Sultaniya, Mahiya, Hisabiya, Kitabiya. Those has at the end of the word, it's not a pronoun. It's a ha that is there to show you what to pronounce the previous letter. Like, for instance, the word kitabiya. If that ha wasn't there, it would be kitabi. So you put the ha there, so it becomes kitabiya. Like you can hear the ya is there, more clear. Hisabiya, without the ha would be hisabi. So that's a Arabic grammar thing. You don't have to worry about that. In the Qurans, it's sakin there. There's no sila happening there. Okay. Also, he cautions us not to get confused of a ha that is not a pronoun. It's actually part of a word. Because if you don't know Arabic, then you'll think, oh, this is a pronoun. And then you'll try to lengthen it. All of this is, alhamdulillah, easy for us because they put the ashkal, the harakas, in the mushaf. So you just need to learn the signs and then you can read properly. But if it wasn't there, you would struggle a lot. Wajhi abi. It's maksur, right? Wajhi abi. So it's not, even, this wouldn't even fit the rule because it's a sakin before. This other one would fit. Fawakihu kathira. Fawakihu kathira. So this is not fawakihu kathira. You see, the ha, haraka. But the ha is part of fawaki. It's a word. It's one word. The ha is part of the word. It's not a pronoun. Pronoun means like him. So it's not his fawaki or fawak. The word isn't fawak. It's fawakihun. It's a, yeah. Okay. Or fawakihu. It's mafa'ilu. All right. Then he gives you signs to understand that in the mushaf. How are we doing on time? Let me see. Do you have the syllabus? Do you know? I don't know what our amount of coverage was for today. I think we're supposed to finish mudud, but we're not going to finish today. Let's do one more. Al-maddu al-lazim. This is number 7. You guys know your Arabic numbers, like writing? 7 looks like a V. Okay. So we're supposed to finish all of it today. 175. Okay. Then we'll finish it then. We'll just do a little bit extra next time. We'll try to do a little bit here. Al-maddu al-lazim, the compulsory mad. Lazim also means compulsory. Lazim. It is to have the mad letter followed by a letter with an original sukoon, both when joining and stopping. So, he says, sukunan asliyan. It's a real sukoon. What's a real sukoon versus a fake sukoon? Fake sukoon is because you're stopping, then it becomes sakin. But normally it has a haraka. A real sukun is no matter what, this thing has a sakin. And this is found in, here he has some examples, I'll write these. So when you have, he says, أن يأتي حرف المد وبعده حرف ساكن سكونا أصليا. You have a حرف المد, a, I, U. After it is a sakin, a real sakin. Examples of this. Okay. And some more. The حروف مقطعات. Mim, ta, sin, mim. I'll just explain here. So here you have the harf al-mad, which I'll underline, and all of them in orange. Okay, there are huruf al-mad. The sukun in green. Okay. So you might be thinking, where is the sukun? These things have harakas. So as-sakha, right? So that kha has a tashdid. In reality, it's two khas there. To make it easy, they combine them in one. So as-sakha is actually as-sakha, right? First one is sakin. Second one, kha. Sakha. So kha. Right? So this is an asli sukun. Al-ana. That's a sukun, part of the word. So if you have a harful mad, which is a, I, U, alif before fatha, wa before dhamma, ya before kasra, then you have a real sakin. This is what's going to happen. So for instance, صاد نون ألف لام ميم. Actually, like this, alif. Let me erase something. There's sukuns in there, but the shadda, it combines them. Alif lam mim. Mim. Right, so alif lam mim. So you see, this is a harful mad, and after sukun, this is a harful mad, ya before the kasra, then sukun. That's why it's not like alif. But here, harful mad, a with the sukun, e with the sukun, that's why you lengthen them. So this is called maddul lazim. So then he goes into types of maddul lazim. You have maddul lazim kalimi, maddul lazim harfi. Right? Kalimi is in a particular word, and harfi is found in a letter. So let me break it down and I'll give you examples of these and then we'll stop here. So this kalimi, kalimi, harfi. So there's a word, letter. So what does it mean that it's in a word? A word is is opposed to letters. Like letters are like the huruf muqatta'at. Alif lam mim, ha mim, ta sin mim. It's not a word. These are letters. So they break that into maddul lazim harfi. Then you have maddul lazim kalimi, meaning it's in a word. Al-ana, as-sakha. These are words. Al-ana means now, like now with a question mark. Now, that's what al-ana means. And sakha means like a clamor, huge noise. So these are words, they're not letters. So that's the two breakdowns. Then each has two types. You have mukhaffaf and muthaqqal. So what does this mean? Mukhaffaf is no tashdid, muthaqqal is tashdid. So example of, you would call this one maddul lazim al-kalimi al-mukhaffaf. That's al-ana. Right? So there's a sakin, there's no tashdid. Al-ana. No tashdid. And then as-sakha is tashdid. Sakha. Right? Tashdid. So that's maddul lazim al-kalimi al-muthaqqal. And then you have harfi, which is like the huruf muqatta'at. Mukhaffaf, no tashdid, hamim. It's actually this, hamim. So you have harful mad, ya preceded by kasra, and a sakin. And muthaqqal, tashdid, tasim, or alif lam mim. You have to hold it. This has a shadda there. Okay. That's how they break it down. Now, for what is the duration that you have to hold it? 6 harakas, and you don't have a choice of decrease. So you can't be like, I want to make it 1 haraka. There's a situation though. So 6 harakas is about 3 seconds. This is the longest mud that we have. So alif lam mim, right? That's how long. 3 seconds. Now, if you do wasal, meaning you keep on reading in Surah Al-Imran and wherever it's applicable, you don't have to do the maddul lazim. If you keep on reading, it'll get a haraka. For instance, alif lam mim Allahu la ilaha illahu, Surah Al-Imran. So it would be alif lam mim Allahu la. If you do wasal, then it loses its sukun, right? Because it lost its sukun. It was lengthened because of the sukun. When you say alif lam mim Allahu, it has a fatha now. There's no more sukun. So no more mad lazim. Okay. On page 169, he goes over all the huruf muqatta'at in the Quran. So we'll have to practice this when we come back for on Thursday, especially the ains, kaf ha ya ain sad. Ayn, Sin, Ayn, Sin, like that. We'll do that next week, inshallah. I'm going to pause here. وصلى الله تبارك وتعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.